I'm Scott Roley, and it's a great privilege to be speaking on adoption and how it works with racial reconciliation. We know that there are lots of challenges in the culture, even those that might think that adopting someone from a different race could be genocide towards that minority or that race. And those are really big issues, let alone the issues of our own sense of bias. And yet my talk and my story is that Jesus adopts us and comes to be with us. So the good news of that, reflected in the gospel, is why cross-racial adoption is necessary, and it's a glorious consequence of believing and trusting in Christ. It started for me back with, and this comments that I'll make about race relations, it really started back, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and my father was a kind of a well-situated Commerce Department lawyer in Kennedy's administration. So got to see the I Have a Dream speech by King, and was in and out of the Kennedy White House, and he really worked for Robert, the Attorney General, and Bobby Kennedy. So growing up in D.C. was a blast. I was a junior high kid, you know, didn't really know what was happening, but the seeds that were planted from that, really for personal responsibility versus personal rights, and then racial reconciliation, because as civil rights legislation was being was being drawn up and pushed through. It was fun to be in and around those lawmakers. Where it all went for me was my wife and I began seeing the need for cross-racial adoption at some point, and were able to adopt 2 of our 3 adopted kids. And then from there, the last 20 years really have been invested in an African-American neighborhood, a low-income neighborhood here in Williamson County called Hardmark, which is where we live. And so our race relations, along with our adoptive and foster care, was really a fulfillment of that providential early start for me and for my wife. Well, they're all pretty much grown. The baby, my youngest is an African-American boy, Sam. He plays football at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. My next son is down in Chattanooga as well, Jeffrey. And then he's 21, and then I've got a 29, a 30-year-old, and a 37-year-old. Wow. And a bunch of grandchildren.